Welcome to the deep dive. Our mission today is, well, we're exploring this massive, often completely invisible world of chronic medical care.
Right, it's a huge sector.
Yeah, and specifically, we're zeroing in on the dialysis industry. And we're doing this through the lens of a highly revealing February 2026 investor presentation from Nephrocare Health Services Limited.
Though, most people just know them as Nephroplus.
Exactly. And I want to ask you, the listener, directly. Have you ever actually thought about what it takes to build a multinational healthcare business where the primary goal isn't just treating patients, but like actively making them feel like VIP guests?
It's a wildly different mindset. And what we're going to see today is how an Indian startup used that exact philosophy to become Asia's only publicly listed dialysis network.
Which is wild.
Right. I mean, they're expanding into places like Uzbekistan and Saudi Arabia, and it all stems from the fact that its co-founder has actually been a dialysis patient himself for over 28 years.
Wow. Over 28 years. That is just an incredible personal story to build a company on.
Yeah.
But before we get into the business side of things, we really need to establish the macro context here.
Yeah, the sheer scale of the problem.
Exactly, because chronic kidney disease, or CKD, is just staggering. Looking at the source data, 1 in 10 people globally suffer from CKD.
Which is
Over 750 million people.
Yeah, 750 million. And it's projected to be the 5th leading cause of death globally by 2040.
The 5th. Wow.
Yeah, and it's driven largely by 2 other massive epidemics. You've got 1.4 billion people worldwide with diabetes and another 1.4 billion with hypertension.
Right, because those conditions just wreck your blood vessels over time.
Exactly. And that brings us to why this specifically matters for the dialysis industry. Because, dialysis isn't just it's not a one-and-done surgery.
You don't just get fixed and go home.
No, not at all. It's a life-sustaining, recurring requirement. People with end-stage renal disease or ESRD, they literally cannot survive more than 2 weeks without it.
Man, 2 weeks.
Yeah. And the standard requirement is going in 3 times a week, which totals over 15 hours. Every single week.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because having a 15-hour-a-week treatment, it's basically a part-time job that you can never, ever quit.
A completely unpaid, exhausting part-time job.
Right. So how does spending that massive amount of time in a clinical environment fundamentally alter a person's life? And, their psychology?
Well, what's fascinating here is the collision between that intense human experience and the business model. Because you're there for 15 hours a week, the clinic essentially becomes your second home.
It's just always there.
Yeah. And the business result of that is a massive 95% stickiness rate.
95%.
Right. Guests just stay with the exact same clinic year after year.
So the revenue is incredibly predictable.
Extremely predictable, provided you can actually keep them coming back.
And that is exactly where the origin story of Nephroplus comes in. Because their defining differentiator is their co-founder, Kamal D. Shah.
Yeah, the guy who has been on dialysis for 28 years.
Right. He even wrote a book about it called Silver Lining. And because he has that lived experience, they basically mandated this patient-centric experience across the company.
They literally flipped the script.
Yeah, they don't even call them patients. They refer to everyone as guests.
Which, sounds like corporate marketing at first.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Because when you look at the investor presentation, it's not just wordplay. They do a dialysis Olympiad.
An Olympiad.
Yeah, it's an actual sports event for dialysis guests across India and the Philippines. And they do this Ashane annual guest forum. They even have a holiday dialysis program so these guests can actually take vacations.
Which is huge for their quality of life.
It is. But I have to push back here for a second. Is throwing a sports Olympiad just really good corporate PR? Or does it actually serve a genuine medical purpose?
It absolutely serves a medical purpose. Because if you look at the industry data, the biggest issue is non-adherence to recommended treatment.
Meaning people just stop showing up.
Exactly. The treatment is so draining, people get depressed and they just give up. By fostering a community, by focusing on their emotional well-being with these Olympiads, Nephroplus tackles that non-adherence head-on.
Oh, wow. So making them feel human actually keeps them alive.
Right. And it translates to the hardware, too. They introduced the first-of-its-kind buttonhole needles for their guests.
Wait, what's a buttonhole needle?
So normally, dialysis needles are huge and they hurt. But a buttonhole technique creates a permanent healed track, kind of like a pierced ear, so they can use a blunt needle that just slides right in,
Yeah.
painlessly.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, and it directly addresses a massive consumer pain point entirely because the leadership actually experiences that same pain.
That makes total sense.
Ah.
Empathy driving innovation.
Yeah.
But an empathetic clinic only works if you can actually get to it.
Right, and that brings up the access problem. The presentation has this really stark statistic. 25 million people globally lack access to dialysis services.
25 million. And Nephroplus is tackling this super aggressively in India. The presentation says they're serving nearly 32,000 guests across 469 clinics in 290 cities.
That's a massive footprint.
It really is. And the craziest part is that about 78% of these clinics are in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. They aren't just in the big metro.
Right, they're going where the access is needed most.
But how do the logistics of that work? Because they have so many different formats. I mean, they have dialysis on wheels and dialysis on call.
Yeah.
They do home hemodialysis.
Yeah.
And then they also have these huge public-private partnerships, or PPPs, and in-hospital captive clinics with partners like Medanta and Fortis. How do you standardize care across a van and a massive hospital?
Yeah, if we connect this to the bigger picture, their whole secret sauce is this highly adaptable, protocol-driven ecosystem.
Protocol-driven.
Basically, they have such strict, standardized operating procedures that they can just drop their model into almost any physical space.
Oh, so they don't have to build a giant hospital every time.
Exactly. It lowers upfront capital investments and lets them enter markets way faster. For example, they'll take over an existing, maybe underperforming 5-bed clinic, a brownfield site, and just run their protocols.
That's super smart.
And they pair that adaptability with really aggressive screening. In March 2025, they actually set a Guinness World Record.
Wait, really? For what?
For the most people signed up for online kidney screening in a single week.
A Guinness World Record for kidney screening. That is, I mean, that's one way to drive early detection.
It works.
It clearly does. And this model isn't just working in India. They're this Asian giant now. They are the 5th largest global dialysis network, operating over 520 clinics and serving more than 36,000 patients overall.
The global expansion is really impressive.
Yeah, and the contrast in how they scale is wild.
Yeah.
Like in the Philippines, they became the 3rd largest network in just 5 years.
Wow.
But then in Uzbekistan, they won a $75 million PPP tender and literally built the largest single dialysis clinic in the world in Tashkent,
The largest in the world.
featuring 165 beds. And they also just set up a joint venture in Saudi Arabia with a 23-machine clinic ready to go in Riyadh.
It's incredible scale, but, it does bring up the financial side of things.
Right. Does the empathy model actually make money?
Well, the financials completely validate it. For the 9-month period ending in FY 2026, about 41% of their revenue came from outside India.
Wow, almost half.
Yeah, and they achieved a 31% revenue CAGR from FY23 to FY25. They pulled in 733.2 crore rupees in revenue with a really strong 23.9% adjusted EBITDA margin.
Man, a 24% margin in a healthcare operations business is huge.
It is. And, this raises an important question about their recent IPO. On December 17th, 2025, they listed on the NSE and BSE.
The big Indian exchanges.
Right. And they attracted marquee foreign institutional investors. We're talking Fidelity, Polar Capital, Manulife.
The heavy hitters.
Exactly. It proves that their mission to redefine dialysis care isn't just like a nice social initiative. It is a highly lucrative business model on a global scale.
So what does this all mean? When you look at the landscape, Nephroplus is now 4.4 times the size of the next largest organized Indian network.
4.4 times.
Yeah. They command over 50% market share in the Indian organized market.
It's total dominance.
It really is.
Yeah.
And to bring this all back to you, the listener, even if you or someone you love never needs dialysis, understanding Nephroplus is so crucial.
Absolutely.
Because chronic care is the fastest growing sector of global healthcare. Treating patients as actual human beings, people who want to travel, who want community, it isn't just a nice perk. It is a proven, highly profitable business mode.
Right. And, I think it leaves us with this really provocative final thought.
Oh, yes.
Think about it. If a medical treatment as grueling and time-consuming as a 15-hour-a-week dialysis regimen can be successfully transformed into this guest experience, complete with sports Olympiads and vacation programs,
Yeah.
what other dreaded, really tedious medical or bureaucratic experiences in our lives are entirely ripe for a hospitality-driven revolution?